Not thrilled to report, it's been a rough week. I didn't get the parts in that I wanted to get in. I wanted to get more done, but we did what we did. I did make progress. For those of you new to the channel, I'm restoring a 1968 Datsun 520 pickup truck. I have about 25 videos now. They're in a playlist. I'll leave that in the description below for you to get caught up. Something you should also know, I'm trying to get the chassis all restored so I could set an old body onto it by September the 15th. The stress is getting to me, and it has been a little bit challenging here lately. The drive shaft needed some work, so let's get started with that. These have to be put back in the same location or you'll get vibration. Surely I didn't forget to mention, I am the one and only infamous Kentucky Yankee without a doubt. There are C-clips here that hold the U-joint in. It's impossible for me to film that and show you. But sometimes they're on the inside, sometimes they're on the outside. They have to be tapped off with a punch or whatever, chisel. When they're rusty like this, take one clip off. Like I took this one side off, and then hit it, push this down, and the other clip will come off a lot easier. This is tough because it's crooked. If you get frustrated, and you will, you can use a ball joint press. You can see how tight that is. Don't keep going because you can break that yoke. I'll show you what to do. Hit the end with a hammer. Oh! What that'll do is break it loose there. Instead of keeping it seized onto this, it'll break it loose. I just realized it'll fit in between the slats on my table, so now I ought to be able to smack it good. Every now and then, you can get one of these out without having to take that other cup off, but it's very unusual. Been nice if I discovered the table situation a little earlier. Something for the more experienced guys out there. I have never seen a U-joint clip like this one. Can you see the taper on it? And this one is standard, but that must be an old U-joint clip, possibly original, and I'd say it is original because it's a front U-joint, and as you know, they rarely wear out, and the rear one was probably replaced. What? No. Sometimes stupid things happen. And when I went to push this back through, I didn't have it centered just right. And now I can't get it centered. And it's just going to be a frustrating mess. I'll get this out off camera. I'm not editing 5 hours of nonsense. So there you go. I showed the whole thing coming apart. This drive shaft now is ready to be cleaned up, finished cleaning it up, and prepped for paint. I've been trying to ignore a problem, but I just can't do it anymore. This right here, as you can see, has been rubbed down. Both sides and both sides. Also, inside of here, it's got some chunks missing or something. Something has to be done with this. It won't pass, because I don't want to be out somewhere and it just break out. Don't ever get under a truck like this unless you have jack stands underneath it or your loader locks one way or another. Very dangerous. I'm gonna see if we can get a few parts off this old truck. Looks like we should be able to. I'm gonna go for the U-bolts first. Let's see if it'll come out of there. Well, there's a little luck. First one came right out, and easy too. I'm gonna take one out from the other side, that way there's two on there holding the truck together. This one may not be as easy. Well, that was successful. A little difficult, but successful. The threads look good. These bumpers look really good up here. Oh no, they don't. They're falling off. That's good, because I don't want to take them off anyways. Now I'm going to see if I can get the parking brake stuff off. Here's the parts I was needing. The drive shaft, the parking brake brackets, the U-bolts. Let's get out of here before the mosquitoes eat me alive. So that's what I was looking for right there. Came out nice too. This is pretty cool. They talk about metal sweating and things like that and it'll rust. Inside of here, it's like brand new. The inside of this drive shaft where the air and elements were sealed off from it, but that's really cool. Just like brand new, not a speck of rust in there. Here's a comparison of the old one and the replacement. You can see how bad this is wore down. I don't know what it was rubbing against, but it was in bad shape. And also, again, these chunks that are missing in here. Something I noticed, this drive shaft is stamped right there, and it is the opposite of the seam inside of this tube. So I wonder if that was for weight or if the yoke was welded on in a certain position. Not sure. Important part about welding up this drive shaft, the U-joints have to match the location. In other words, the hole, see, is pointing towards the ceiling, and look over here on this side, same. The hole is pointing towards the ceiling. You want those to be perfectly the same. I know I didn't cut this exactly perfect, so what I'm going to do is, when I weld it, or as I'm welding, is measure it from here to here, and then I'll spin it over after I tack it and do the same thing. That way it'll be the same distance and it should be nice and straight. I'm going to spend a little time tacking this up and measuring it, and then I'll weld it solid. Not a perfect weld, but it's solid, I'm sure of that. I'm going to grind it down so that I don't have the weight of that weld on there. It should do fine. Will this drive shaft have to be balanced? Believe it or not, I don't think so. And if it does, we'll put it on the truck, get a timing light out, and balance it old school. Notice this is a little snug, and that's normal. I'll show you a trick to that. Hit it right here, this spot. That's all it takes, one little tap. Be sure to check and recheck your clips. You don't want one of those falling out while you're going down the road. And I had to make sure they were in there secure because this thing has over 60 horsepower and torque unlimited. That's it. Drive shaft is ready to be painted. I messed up. Remember I said mark it with a punch and match the sides where they belong and all that. And that is the right way to do it. But I accidentally got mixed up somehow and put them on backwards. And I'm going to leave it. If it causes a problem, I'll swap them out. But maybe it'll be all right. Let's see if we can get some front hubs put on this thing. This bearing race is crap. You can see right there it's got a spot in it, so have to see if the other truck's got a good one. It's best to keep the bearing with the race, especially if they've worn in together, so I have to knock the race out of this hub too. Stuck on there. Unexpected and unwelcome bad bearing race. That's a good one. Here's a messy job. I need to pack these bearings in this tool. I just stack them on top of each other like that, both of them. Usually works. 2 birds, 1 stone. I went with the good stuff this time, red and tacky. Expensive. See if I can get you a picture of the inside. Look how it packs that right there. There you go. See that? How it's getting in behind the bearings. I should have hammered this race in already. Oh, let me get the race on this side too before we carry on. Now for the bearing. You don't have to fill this hub up with grease. It only stays where the bearing is. So no need for that. I will put a little extra on the race though. Put a little on the seal here. And then I will tap this in. This one's ready to go on the truck, and I'll prepare the other one. Turn the camera back on because I messed up. This was supposed to go underneath the seal, this little ring. It's just like old spacer or something, so I need to get the bearing back out. And I don't want to damage the seal. I'll go from this back side. Here's my wooden hammer. And that will work just fine. Put the bearing back in there. Now this little ring goes on here. There we go. Then the seal. You won't find that in a more modern vehicle. Just on this old thing. I'm gonna clean up all the excess grease. You don't want any coming out beyond the seal, because when it heats up, it'll sling it out on the brakes. So just slip this on here. This is the joys of videotaping something. You just cannot. The most simple things just don't work out. Looks like it's on there now. Well, it's a little bit of a snug fit. I don't know why. Normally this is a time when I'd start slinging tools across the shop, but since I'm filming, I'll just control myself, I guess. The way I do this nut is I tighten it all the way down. That way we know everything's seated. For example, that back bearing. And it's still going for some reason. So that's tight right there. I know it's tight, and you don't want it like that. So I'll loosen it up. Usually what I do is loosen it like that so it's loose, see? And I go just about like that. And now it's right here, so it's in between. On this one, I'm gonna just loosen it just right there. And that is where I'm gonna put my cotter pin. People banged up the dust cap. I cannot stand that. Don't bang up the dust caps. What's What's wrong with you people? Hit them on the outside edge. Is that so hard to do? Hit them right here. Is it hard to hit them right here on the outside edge? Is that hard to do? You can't take a punch or something and just tap it here. You gotta beat it right here in the middle and smash it all up. Put dents on it and make a mess out of it. For what? Whew. Dust cover. Most important part of this entire job. You'll slip it on there, see? And because I have the correct size socket to hit just the lip of it, I'm going to use it. And that's all there is to it. I didn't take a big hammer, a ball peen hammer with the round end, and beat the center of it on there and just keep beating it till there was nothing left of it. You saw what I did. I just tapped it on nicely with a socket. Starboard side complete. Obviously it was the same installation as the port side. And that bearing in the back was tight on this one too. I forgot when I took them apart, they were snug. I don't know if they just did it like that back then or what, but nowadays, normally you can just slip those off. They're not tight on the spindle. And these weren't overly tight, but they're a little bit snug. Both ends of this sway bar were rough with rust, pitted real bad and deteriorated. So I cleaned it with a wire wheel. If you do that, you still have rust. When I welded it, it made a bunch of little pinholes. I should have sandblasted it and we wouldn't have had this problem, but I didn't. So I put JB Weld over the pinholes. Now I'll sand this down and we'll paint it. That should do it right there, just a very thin layer to get them pinholes out. Sway bar all painted up and slick for those rubber bushings right there. So let's stick this on the truck. I left the bolts loose so we could get the sway arm links on. So it'll go this little piece here and this rubber on the bottom. Like so. Now this piece, and it has a little lip on it, see, that goes into the metal to hold it in place. Like that. Rubber. A cap. Bushing. A cap. Rubber sway arm. This is one of those with the edge on it to hold it in place. Rubber cap, and then the nut. Whoop. Now let me get the other side. I'll zip the centers down first. I had high hopes for this week. I was wanting to get more done. The differential I wanted to put together, but somehow or another, I ordered the seals. I thought I checked them, but 2 of them were wrong, and I had to order some more. So I just left that for another video. Leaf springs are painted, axles are ready to go, everything's ready to assemble it. There were more front end pieces I was hoping to get together this week, but the tie rod end is a left-hand thread, and it's tight, so I had to order a tap and die for that. Several things just didn't work out this week, so I didn't get as far along as I wanted to. That's right, there's still time. Maybe I'll make my deadline. I don't know, we'll see. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.